What if I told you that the greatest sporting event in human history, watched by over 5 billion people every 4 years, almost never happened? That the FIFA World Cup, the tournament that stops the world, was rejected, mocked, and nearly destroyed before a single ball was ever kicked? This is the story of how a French dreamer, a South American underdog nation, and a group of men who refused to give up, created football's greatest stage. This is the untold origin story of the FIFA World Cup. The problem with Olympic football. Let's go back, way back, to the early 1900s. Football, or soccer depending on where you're watching from, was growing fast. It was being played in Europe, South America, even parts of Asia. But there was a problem. There was no world champion. The only international football tournament that existed was the Olympics, and the Olympics had a massive flaw. It was controlled by the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, not by football people. And worse, it was amateur only. That meant the best players in the world, professionals who played for clubs like River Plate in Argentina or Genoa in Italy, were banned from competing. So, the world's best football tournament wasn't actually showing the world's best football, and that frustrated a lot of people. But one man decided to do something about it. His name was Jules Rimet. Born in 1873 in the small French town of Thiollet, Rimet was a lawyer by training and a football administrator by passion. In 1921, he became the third president of FIFA, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, which at the time was just 17 years old and had little global influence. Rimet had a vision. A simple one, but revolutionary. Create a football tournament where every nation on earth, amateur or professional, could compete to become world champion. He wasn't the first to have the idea. FIFA's first president, Robert Guérin, had floated the concept back in 1904. But it went nowhere. The Olympics were too powerful, national football associations were too divided, and there was no money. But Rimet was different. He was patient, he was stubborn, and in 1928 at the FIFA Congress in Amsterdam, he saw his opening, the first World Cup vote, 1929. In May 1929, FIFA held a historic vote in Barcelona. The question on the table: should FIFA organize its own world championship independent of the Olympics? Rimet had spent years building support. He convinced Henri Delaunay, the French Football Federation secretary, to help draft a proposal. He lobbied South American federations, who were hungry for recognition. He promised that this tournament would be open to all, professional and amateur, European and South American, rich and poor. The vote passed. The FIFA World Cup was officially born, but then came the hard part. Where would it be held? Several European nations offered to host: Italy, Spain, Sweden, the Netherlands. But then a bold proposal came from an unexpected place: Uruguay, a tiny South American nation with a population of just 2 million people. But Uruguay had something no one else could offer. They were the reigning Olympic football champions. Gold medals in 1924 and 1928. They were willing to pay travel costs for every team. And 1930 would mark the 100th anniversary of Uruguay's independence. FIFA awarded Uruguay the first ever World Cup. But Europe was furious. Uruguay. 1930, the tournament that almost never happened. Imagine this. You've just been chosen to host the most important football tournament in history. You've built a brand new stadium, the Estadio Centenario, to hold 90,000 people. You've invited the world, and then, almost no one shows up. The Great Depression had just begun. European clubs didn't want to release players for 2 months, and many European FAs were still bitter that the tournament wasn't being held in Europe. By June 1930, just weeks before kickoff, not a single European team had agreed to come. Jules Rimet was desperate. He personally traveled to Belgium, France, Romania, and Yugoslavia, begging them to participate. Finally, 4 European teams agreed: France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia. Romania's team was only able to go because their king, King Carol II, personally selected the squad and guaranteed their jobs would be waiting when they returned. In total, just 13 teams participated in the first World Cup. No England, no Germany, no Italy, no Spain. But on July 13, 1930 in Montevideo, Uruguay, the first ever World Cup match kicked off. France beat Mexico 4-1, and football history began. How it became the biggest event in sports. The final of the 1930 World Cup was played on July 30th. Uruguay defeated Argentina 4-2 in front of 93,000 fans. Uruguay was crowned the first world champion. Jules Rimet handed them a gold trophy, later named the Jules Rimet Trophy in his honor. The tournament was a financial disaster. Attendance was lower than hoped. Most of the world ignored it. But Rimet didn't care, because he knew something the critics didn't. The idea was bigger than one tournament. 4 years later, the World Cup was held in Italy, and 16 teams showed up. In 1938, it was held in France. By 1950, after a 12-year gap due to World War II, the World Cup returned in Brazil, and the final drew 199,854 fans, still the largest attendance for any football match ever. By 1954, it was broadcast on television. By 1970, it was in color. By 1994, it was in the United States, breaking attendance records. Today, the FIFA World Cup is the most watched sporting event on the planet. The 2022 final between Argentina and France drew an estimated 1.5 billion live viewers, more than the Super Bowl, more than the Olympics opening ceremony. And it all started because one man refused to accept number Jules Rimet served as FIFA president for 33 years. He survived 2 world wars, a global depression, and countless political battles. But he never stopped believing in his dream. In 1954, he retired. In 1956, he passed away at the age of 83. But his legacy? It lives on every 4 years when the world stops and watches. This is part 1 of our FIFA World Cup documentary series. Tomorrow, we're diving into the most emotional moments in World Cup history, the goals, the tears, the heartbreak, and the moments that made us fall in love with this beautiful game. Drop a comment below. What's one World Cup moment you'll never forget? And if you want to see part 2, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.